supposed to drink wine, no? How do you make kiddush there?
Yeah, well, a lot of the mitzvahs are involve a natural enjoyment. He wanted to be so holy that even mitzvahs that involve natural enjoyment, he doesn't want to be involved in. So he's sort of like removing himself from that. And
Chassidus teaches us that we need to be...
Right. There's actually, it's discussed in the Gemara that is it a good thing? Should you take vows like that? But this person, for whatever reason, he wants to be on that level.
After that, he's going to pay for that. כשלקח עצמו להיות נזיר, הוא ישלם על זה.
Right.
So it's not so good to be nazir. You have to have your wine.
And drink it.
Yeah.
So Rav Hamnuna says, "V'af Rabbi Yochanan savala lahad Rav Hamnuna." The Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan, who's much earlier, would also agree to Rav Hamnuna. Why? The Amar Rabba bar Barchana Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabba bar Barchana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, "Harei alay Eila shakrivenu beis Chanya." If he accepts on himself an Eila that he's going to bring in Chanya's house, v'kriva beretz Yisrael, but instead he brings it in Eretz Yisrael. Yatze, he fulfilled his obligation. Notice it didn't say in the temple. V'anish karis, but he's liable to the punishment of karis because he didn't bring it in the temple, but he doesn't need to replace it. Tanya nami hachi. There's also a brisa that says this. He doesn't say b'beis Chanya, just says he's going to bring it in the desert. The kriva be'ever hayarden, but he brings it over the Jordan, which ever hayarden in this case would mean he brings it in Eretz Yisrael. It's a confusing expression. Usually ever hayarden in the Torah means on the other side.
Yes.
Here it means on this side. So yatsa, across the Jordan, which way? Right? So he fulfills his obligation on his karis, but he has the punishment because he brought a sacrifice out of the temple. It's very clear that it's a sacrifice. According to Rava, it wasn't even a sacrifice. It was just a gift. It's clear that it's a sacrifice because he gets the punishment of bringing a sacrifice outside the temple. And it's also clear that he doesn't need to replace it. So that's the explanation of Rav Hamnuna, that if someone accepts on himself a sacrifice that he's going to bring in Beis Chanya, what he means to say is no responsibility. It is a sacrifice, but no responsibility.
But he gets karas.
He gets karas because of what he did, but he doesn't need to replace it. So the word yatsa just means that he fulfilled...
I think karas is worse than replacing the cow.
That depends who you ask.
Yeah.
My brother told me this fellow from the... that was one of the IDF soldiers that went in Entebbe. He came to speak for the seniors. He said that when they were saving during the raid, so they told everyone to get onto the plane. Some of the people ran to get their duty-free bags. So I'm just saying, it depends who you ask. Okay.
That's funny.
It's amazing. A new Mishnah. Hakayinim sheshimshu beis Chanya lo yishamshu b'mikdash b'Yerushalayim. A kayin that served, that worked in Beis Chanya, is not allowed to serve in the temple in Jerusalem. Indefinitely, if he worshipped for idolatry. You see, Beis Chanya, according to this Mishnah, is not idolatry. They were serving Hashem. It just wasn't in the temple, and there was a decree. It was a rabbinic decree.
His line, like his whole line, or just him?
It could be that it lasted for a long time.
Usually it
They,
gets six. Usually his kids get it.
To look at the history on encyclopedias, they have discussions with the archaeologists that discovered it later. They found the remnants of it or whatever. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, Ach layalu kayin abamis el mizbeach Hashem b'Yerushalayim kim achlu matzis bekerev. I'm sorry, it says b'soich achayim. Yeah, the Mishnah says bekerev. Harei l'kabali mumen cholken v'oichlem v'lei makriven. We quote a pasuk from Kings too, from Menachem Bais, where Yeshio, the Kohen Gadol, finds the scroll and there's like this huge revival. This whole, everyone's coming back, and Yeshua just cleans the whole country of all idolatry, and those Kainim that worshipped on those other altars, they were not allowed to worship together with the Kainim in the temple that was purified and all of that. However, they were allowed to take part in the sacrifices because they were still Kainim. So they were considered like Bali Mumin. A Bal Mum, someone that has a blemish, he doesn't serve, but he gets a portion. So that's what it was considered. And then the Yeshua, afterwards there's a war, he gets killed by the Egyptian king that comes in Megiddo, which is Armageddon.
So you can kosher something, except the Kohen is
Sort of, there's this amazing Tosfos here. You see, La Yishamshu Mikdash B'Yerushalayim. Tosfos brings that a Kohen that converted is not allowed to duchen, and he's not allowed to get an aliyah.
Can I convert it to a guy?
He can't convert in, but if he converted out, so
Make sure.
he says it's too late. However, Rashi says differently. Rashi says no. Rashi says that he can duchen. He did shuvah, he can duchen. And he brings proof. Rabbi Gershon also holds like Rashi, and it's brought in Shulchan Aruch. It's a very historical piece, because in Rashi's time, many Kayanim converted, many people converted because of the Crusades. And when the Crusades passed, they, it was the second Crusade in Rashi's, Rashi was around by the first Crusade First Crusade was 1096 or something, 1090. Rashi was around, it was the first Crusade, and people converted. And then afterwards they wanted to come back to the community. And the community didn't want to accept them. They said, look, we just risked our life. We lost family members and all of that. You just took the easy way out. And now you want to come back and start duchening and, back to the standing in the front and all of that. So Rashi wrote letters that they need to accept them back. You can't punish them. They were under duress.
Did they convert for real, or just like Moranos, just
fake?
So it was a real conversion.
Right.
I agree with Rashi.
Today we're
Rabbi, can you
it's brought in Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch Paskins like Rashi quotes Rashi. Paskins like Rashi.
Rabbi,
Okay.
He's going to come on.
Okay. I'm Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says, Kayin sheshachat laved skechavim karbonei reach nichayach.
It's barbecue.
You need to show us a
No.
sample how doing it.
No. Karbonei reach nichayach, that means his carbon is a sweet smell to Hashem. The reason why is because shechita doesn't need to be by a kayin. Shechita is not a real service. The shechita, you can even have a non-kayin do the service.
Shechita you can do,
even a zar. Like that was the story with Shmuel and Eily. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Abdimi Mikra, where do you see this? We quote this long pasuk in Yecheskel, where over there there's a little bit of a contradiction, and it gets resolved that there's a difference between shechita. Yana sheyishosam l'fnei gulayim. This is Yecheskel's prophecy of the temple. In chapter 44, he's seeing the temple. He sees the gate that's closed, and because they served in front of the idols, and because they were a stumbling block in a transgression, I put my hand over them, they shall carry their sin. They can't come to serve. And we say like this, in, but shchita lav shirasu. If they served for the idols, then they're not accepted. But if they only did shchita, then it's not a problem. We're running late. It started. We'll continue. It's not a big deal. Itmar, Shagag Bizrika. Zrika is sprinkling the blood. That is the service. Sprinkling of the blood is the service. If there was a kohen that did Zrika for an idol, now he wants to come back to the temple. The only thing is, he didn't realize what he was doing was wrong. Somehow he didn't realize. Rav Nachman Amar Kabani Reich Nichayach. Rav Nachman says he can come back and he can serve. Rav Sheshes Amar Ein Kabani Reich Nichayach. Rav Sheshes says no. So Rav Nachman is the lenient one. Rav Sheshes is the strict one here. Amar Rav Sheshes Mina Aminala. Rav Sheshes says, where do I know this from? Diksiv Hayul Beis Yisrael Lemich Shalavin. We quote the pasuk that we just quoted from Yecheskel. they were for the Jewish people as a stumbling, as a transgression. My love, oy michshol, oy avon. Either a stumbling or a transgression. Michshol is shoygig, avon is mezid. Stumbling means that it was by mistake, and avon, a transgression, means that it was on purpose. And he sprinkled by mistake, so he's not allowed to serve. Rav Nachman, michshol da avon. Rav Nachman says a stumbling of a transgression. He puts both terms together, and he says that what would be the stumbling only if it's done on purpose. But if it's not on purpose, then it's nothing. Rav Nachman aminala. How do I know this? Rav Nachman says, he's the lenient one. The Tanya v'chiper al kayin al nefesh hashegeges b'chata b'shkaga. It says that if a kayin can atone for the person that sinned, and we learn from that malamet shakayin meskaper al yidei atzmai, that if, let's say, the kayin himself sinned, he can go then and bring his own sacrifice. What type of sin did he do? And then is he allowed to bring a sacrifice after he did that sin? B'mai, what sin was it? Eily b'shchita. Did he shecht a sacrifice for an idol, and now he's allowed to go bring his own sacrifice, which we said that was acceptable? My ear yeshoigig. So why do we say nefesh hashegagas, that he sinned unintentionally? Even if he shechted intentionally, that's not considered a service. He should be allowed back into the temple to worship. It must be that he did a more serious transgression, and it was only because it's by mistake. Afilu meizinami elalav, it must have been bizrika, that he sprinkled the blood. And even though sprinkling is a real service, that he worshipped an idol, but because it was by mistake, he's allowed to bring his own sacrifice. That means he's allowed back into the temple. Rav Sheshes Amalach, Rav Sheshes says, Lo'ilam, really we're talking about b'shchita, that he did not sprinkle the blood, he only slaughtered. Ubemezid leinas misharis lavetzki chavim. But so how does he explain the pasuk? Ubemezid leinas. And nevertheless, if he does it on purpose, he still can't serve. B'mezid loy. That's how you have to read it. B'mezid loy. If he does it on purpose, he still can't serve, even by shchita. Why? Because if he does it on purpose, there's a decree that he can't come back to the temple. So even in shchita, there's a difference between Rav Sheshes and Rav Nachman. Before we made it look like shchita, everyone agrees he can come back to the temple. Now we're saying that Rav Sheshes says that if he did it on purpose, shchita, he can't come back to the temple. We'll learn tomorrow the reasoning, and there's more to this.
Thank you, Chaim.
You didn't know that the easy Gemara
It
was
was
going to
not
take so
even
long.
over there. It was